Lesson plan, created by Alma Aguirre. In creating a lesson plan, it's a detailed description of the course instructed of any subject. The lesson plan is for the teacher to illustrate a lesson for the day as well as for the week. The students will be introduced to the 4 phases of the moon. They are new moon, first quarter moon, full moon, and last quarter moon. Students will be able to distinguish between the phases of moon. Demonstrate a phase of the moon. Students will have the capacity of understanding the phases of the moon 75% or more in the different phases of the moon. In creating the lesson plan, you will see that the moon is divided in 4 sections. If you look at a clock, and the clock is demonstrated by 12, 3, 6, and 9. When you divide it in that section, you will find that at the 12 o'clock of the clock, it would be last quarter. At the 3 o'clock, it would be full. At the 6 o'clock, it would be first quarter. And at the 9 o'clock, it would be new moon. This would be a way to introduce the different phases of the moon. As the activity is being demonstrated, the children will be introduced into the phases of the moon by reading The Moon Book by Gail Gibbons. There will also be a song in there that will help the kids to understand the different phases of the moon, for them to get a better understanding of the different phases of the moon, as well as an experiment of the Oreo cookie. To demonstrate the different activities of the Oreo cookie, you would need Oreo cookies, paper towel, plastic spoon and or plastic knife, and you would need a marker, pencil, pen, or a journal, and as well a journal for the students to be able to write the activities as far as what their findings are. As each cookie is being opened, you would take one cookie and take all the cream off of one, and that would be considered new moon. Then you would get the other cookie and take that other half of it off, and just take a small portion of the cream of it, leaving that on there will be demonstrating the waxing crescent moon. The next one would be your third one. Take that other divided part cookie, put that in half, and that would be your first quarter moon. Then you will have another cookie that would show majority of the cream on the Oreo cookie, that would be showing your waning crescent. Going on to your 5th cookie, you take the 5th cookie apart, you will see that the whole cream is on the other part of the Oreo cookie. That will demonstrate a full cookie. Then you would go to your 6th cookie, and it would be the other side of it. Take the majority of the cream cookie, and as you'll see that only a portion of your right part of the cookie would not be shaded. The rest of it would. That would be your waxing Gibbons cookie. Going on to the 7th part of the cookie, you will see that now you take the cream off from the right part of the cookie. You will see that the left part of the cookie is showing the cream section of it. That is your first quarter moon. And last, you will have your 8th one, which would demonstrate the left side of the cookie showing the cream section of it. That would be your waxing crescent cookie. In the PowerPoint, you will also see the moon phases, a KWL. What do I want to know? What I want to learn, and what I have to learn. In each section, the kids will have to give me questions in order for them to have a better understanding, which would also demonstrate a high-level learning. What are the different phases of the moon? What causes the different phases of the moon? The phases of the moon is divided in 4 sections. These are things that will help the kids to demonstrate knowledge, comprehension. They'll be able to apply it, analyze it, synthesize it, and evaluate it. As each student will be able to give a knowledge, they will be able to draw the different phases of the moon, They would be able to demonstrate it by comprehending the different faces of the moon, discussing or explaining it, which would entail them writing it in their journals as we're doing our experiment. The application part is where they could do role play. The song would be an example that would introduce the children to them to apply it as to how it would be demonstrated in the real life application. To evaluate it, it would be appraised. The students would be able to prioritize it. They could rank the different phases of the moon however they would like to. As well as the students will be able to do different things. In order for the students to understand this, we would have to go into the learning content. The learning content is where I would be speaking about the different phases of the moon. Create an activity that how the Earth orbits the Sun. Explain the Earth orbits the Sun is about 365 days. Next would be to explain the Earth rotations on the axis full circle about 24 hours and explain how the moon orbits the Earth. How the position of the Earth, Sun, and Moon affects the phases of the moon. This would correspond with the experiment of the Oreo cookies. Which part can be seen? For example, what causes a part of the moon to be lit up? As the moon is illuminating, it reflects the light of the sun. The sun that faces the sun reflects lights while the other side is darkened in contrast. To assess these things, the student will be able to do the KWL. They will be able to show and demonstrate the experiment by doing the Oreo cookies. In return, I will be able to model it for them to explain how the moon does not produce any light, how the moon can be seen both during the day and at night, and maximize the amount of frosting on each side, the halves. Have the student answer high-level open-end questions in the moon phase while handing out crafts. To elaborate on this, the students will have independent work, which would be them writing in their journals. The other part of it would be the experiment as we would be doing it in a whole group for the students. This lesson will be aligned with the TEKS and as well as the materials of the resource that we introduced, the video of the YouTube. They will be able to use different technology sources, for example, painting, kid pics. A handout of the moon will be given to the students along with the activity to demonstrate these different phases of the moon. The standards and the assessments of it would be aligned with the TEKS Chapter 112 Science in elementary, and the course of it would be 112.11 in kindergarten, would be the earth and science the student knows and or recognize the patterns in the natural world and among objects in the sky. The students are expected to identify events and repeat patterns, including the seasons of the year, day and night. They will be able to also give an expectations of the observed, described, and illustrate objects in the sky, such as clouds, moon, stars, and including sun. The assessments and the rubric for myself to be able to assess the students is to have them be able to tell me from a range of 1 to 4. 4 meaning they know all 4 faces of the moon. 1 meaning they only understand 1. 2 meaning they only understand 2, 3, and so forth. If a student is able to demonstrate to me during the experiment all 4 phases of the moon, then they are able to get an exceed expectation. However, if the student is not able to do that and they are only allowed or they only are able to recall 1 phase of the moon, this is where our intervention will be able to come in and placing the students in either tier 1, 2, and 3 to help the students get a better understanding of the phases of the moon. This is also another way to introduce and assess the students as far as where are they needing help and what gaps do we need to fill in order for the students to fulfill the expectations of the school district. At the end of this, my reasoning and the reason why I came up with this lesson is for the reason is it meets all the criteria of the TEKS And it also meets the expectation of what the districts would want the students to know and understand by the end of a certain time period, whether it's 6 weeks, 3 months, or by the end of the year. At the end of all of this, the students will be able to demonstrate the 4 faces of the moon. Thank you.